Today we are going to learn about the Bill of Rights by going over the first 5 amendments today and the other half in another video. To start off, I want to give a little bit of background information on the Constitution to give you some context as to what is going on in America at the time. Much of this you should already know, so it'll hopefully just be a review. In 1775, the Revolutionary War began, where the 13 colonies revolted against the British rule. This war went on for about 6 years. During this, the Declaration of Independence was written and approved by the Continental Congress. Through the Treaty of Paris, Britain recognizes the independence of America in 1783. The United States Constitution was then constructed and ratified by 9 states in 1888, and in 1791, the Bill of Rights, or the first 10 amendments, is added to the Constitution. From that point on, different amendments have continued to be added as time goes on and as the government sees fit. But for today's lesson, we're going to focus on the first 5 amendments, or half of the Bill of Rights, as these are some of the unalienable rights all U.S. citizens are granted by law. The First Amendment to the Bill of Rights states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." Basically, this is giving the citizens the freedom to choose their own religion, the freedom to speak freely without fear of danger, access to the news, freedom to gather peacefully for a cause, and the freedom to petition anything they see as unjust. This is an extremely important amendment as things we see as basic human rights come back to this amendment, like freedom of speech and religion. The Second Amendment grants citizens the right to bear arms. Directly stated, the Second Amendment says, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." I think it's important to add a little context to this amendment as it's a pretty heavy political topic today. At the time that the Constitution was written, America had just finished a war, so there was fear among the citizens and the government that this could happen again. So by including this amendment in the Constitution, the citizens could feel safer knowing that there was a strong militia and that they could protect themselves with their own firearms. But it is still important to have a well-regulated firearms to make sure they don't become harmful to the citizens. The Third Amendment deals with the quartering of troops, which isn't really seen as much of an issue today, but again, in the context of the time period, it was a big concern. Taken from the Constitution, the Third Amendment reads, "No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law." Basically, this means that it is not the responsibility for citizens to provide members of the armed forces with housing without the citizens' consent. While this isn't really seen as an issue now, it definitely was an issue for the people of that time period as they had just finished the war. The Fourth Amendment addresses search and seizure. The Constitution directly states, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." The Fourth Amendment protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. The Fourth Amendment, however, is not a guarantee against all searches and seizures, but only those that are deemed unreasonable under the law. The Fifth and final amendment we'll be discussing in this video deals with court proceedings. The Constitution states, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a presentiment or indictment of a grand jury, except in the cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service, time of war, or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witnessed against herself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." So this amendment is really wordy and kind of difficult to comprehend, but basically the Fifth Amendment imposes restrictions on the government's prosecutions of persons accused of crime. So it prohibits self-incrimination and double jeopardy, and it mandates due process of law. And I just want to really quickly go through and define some of those terms because they might be new to you. So self-incrimination is defined as exposing oneself or another person to an accusation of a charge or a crime, or as in involving oneself or another person in a criminal prosecution or the danger thereof. So basically, the Fifth Amendment protects the citizens from incriminating themselves in like a court. Double jeopardy is the prosecution of a person twice for the same offense, so that's not really a fair thing to happen, so this protects citizens from that. Due process is fair treatment through the normal judicial system, so this is sort of helping to make sure that everything that happens within the judicial system is fair and right. So this concludes our first lesson on the Bill of Rights, and hopefully now you have a better understanding of what these amendments mean for you. In class, we will look at real-world applications of these amendments and analyze cases where citizens' rights could have potentially been infringed. This video should have given you a more in-depth understanding of these amendments, so you'll be prepared to discuss them in real-world situations later on.